And our penalty situation for the High Rollers, Hurricanes Katrina with 6 trips to the box. Layla Smackdown with 4. For the Guns N' Rollers, Scald Eagle has been to the box 3 times, and 3 other skaters with 2 trips. That's important because 7 trips to the box, and you will no longer be skating this evening. So make sure you guys keep an eye on that as we get this second half underway. High Rollers 60, Guns N' Rollers 44.
I hear they were talking about sending you to the penalty box, Mike Checks, for just being awesome.
Honestly, Magic, it's not me. It's all of the non-skating officials that we've got walking around with those laptops tracking all of these stats. I appreciate them immensely.
Coming up, something we haven't seen all evening on the jammer line for GNR, the Scald Eagle.
Opposite number 28 for the High Rollers, Minstrel Psycho.
Scald Eagle hung up behind that green wall. Minstrel Psycho driving it forward, trying to push Juvie on her way out.
And she is not your lead jammer. Picked up a minor penalty on her way through a minor track cut.
Scald Eagle juking and weaving around the inside. She's your lead jammer.
Both teams with 2 blockers in the penalty box. Scald Eagle calls off the jam. Fist in the air for ref solidarity. No points scored.
So the referees are complaining that our levels are too high and they can't hear themselves.
They need to run that through Dragon.
All right.
6-pack.
Well, Magic, it looks like both of these teams going to start out short 2 blockers. Sully Skull Kicker lined up on the jam line for the High Rollers.
And the Super 6-pack for GNR. Action has started. Super 6-pack looking for a way through that little green wall right there she's dealing with, but
Sully Skull Kicker works her way around, and she is through for lead jammer status for the High Rollers.
Untamed Shrew with an amazing sweep gets Super 6-pack through right behind her.
A super small pack that's moving at a super quick pace, Magic.
This has been one of the faster games I've ever watched, Mike, all night long. Super 6-pack down in turn 2.
Sully Skull Kicker attacking the pack on a scoring pass.
Untamed Shrew jumps in front of her and the jam is off.
4 points picked up by Sully Skull Kickers. The High Rollers extending their lead to 20.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your arms in the air. Scald Eagle is on the jammer line.
Opposite Minstrel Psycho for the High Rollers. I feel like we've seen this matchup once before, Magic.
Wait, yes, you are correct.
So my memory's not failing me then.
Guns N' Rollers starting this jam on the knee just to get things started right away. Super Scald Eagle down on the outside. Minstrel Psycho hung up on that black wall. Scald Eagle through for lead jammer once again.
Frankenherder and Scouts On are doing a great job working out front, holding back Minstrel Psycho. Scouts On are going to be sent to the penalty box, blocking out a play. You can't do that.
Scald Eagle flying in her attack run. Breaks through.
How many, Terminator?
Sure, she scored about 4 points on that run.
Scald Eagle and Minstrel Psycho going at one another outside of the pack. Both jammers allowed to do that. They are the only skaters that can engage the jammers outside of the pack.
He was just very intently watching.
Guns N' Rollers picking up 4 points in that jam, eating into the High Rollers lead.
And we'd like to thank the Buffalo Gap Saloon and Eatery, John's Landing's favorite eatery and saloon. That's Buffalo Gap.
Sully Skull Kicker once again on the jam line for the High Rollers. And for the Guns N' Rollers, Squid Vicious.
No nobody in a real rush to get things started. Guns N' Rollers decide to take off and force the start.
Each team down one blocker. Scouts Honor in the penalty box for the Guns N' Rollers. Honey Hellfire for the High Rollers.
Sully Skull Kicker around the outside. Squid Vicious going at her.
Impressive back wall set up by the High Rollers, giving Squid Vicious the bad end of the stick.
Guns N' Rollers doing a super job with Juvie Hall and Brady Punch hanging up. It's one of the hardest jammers in the league. That's Sully Skull Kicker behind that black wall up front.
We are more than 45 seconds into this jam with no lead jammer, and finally Sully Skull Kicker picking up lead jammer status for the High Rollers.
And I do believe we have all players on the track right now. Squid Vicious taking a beating from the High Rollers in the backfield on that last pass.
Honey Hellfire making sure that she is a thorn in Squid Vicious's side right there.
Guns N' Rollers setting up a wall, but Sully Skull Kicker shrugs off those hits and picks up 5 points on her way by.
Squid Vicious still trying to find an answer to those High Rollers blockers. Again, Honey Hellfire now. Heidi goes Seek out front trying to hold her back. Wow.
Heidi goes Seek driving her all up and down the track on that one. Squid Vicious still looking for a way to break through on her scoring pass.
Honey Hellfire and Heidi Go Seek making life miserable for Squid Vicious in this jam. Squid, though, putting on the afterburners, and she's clear on her initial pass for the Guns N' Rollers. As Sully calls off the jam after putting 3 more points on the board for the High Rollers.
We'd like to thank Ron Tonkin Fiat. Style and fuel efficiency reign at Ron Tonkin Fiat. Check out the Tonkin Jammer Fiat in the parking lot now. That's Ron Tonkin Fiat.
The King trying to get the Players Club riled up. High Rollers fans, let's hear ya.
Untamed Shrew weaving around, looking for a way to break through that 3 wall that's set up in front of her.
Huge pile up at the front of the pack. Untamed Shrew being sent to the penalty box, an illegal procedure. And Minstrel Psycho also sent to the penalty box for the High Rollers.
Waving Untamed Shrew back onto the track. We're back to all jammers back on the track.
Layla Smackdown out front trying to hold back Untamed Shrew.
Untamed Shrew driving that line. Both jammers breaking through at the same time.
Now remember, since both jammers went to the penalty box in this jam, neither can be declared lead jammer.
Roller Eclipse and Havana Good Time for GNR up front, trying to hold things together.
Track cut major being called on Untamed Shrew. She's headed to the penalty box. 4-point pass for Minstrel Psycho and the High Rollers.
Guns N' Rollers up front.
Wreck Deckard for the High Rollers being waved off the track. She picked up her 4th minor penalty.
Everybody back together, and the game is back on.
Kick Cassidy now being sent to the penalty box for the High Rollers.
Guns N' Rollers doing an excellent job up front, trying to keep themselves from getting scored on in this jam.
Layla Smackdown now headed to the Pabst Blue Ribbon penalty box for the High Rollers.
Seduce a Destroy up in front, trying to slow things down and get their jammer through. No! We into that jam with both jammers in the penalty box. Hey, we'd like to thank Rockstar Energy Drink. See the energy on the track, Rockstar Energy Drink. Pick up a can today. Hey, everybody in the Rockstar Energy Drink section, yo!
Magic, I can't understand for the life of me why we would call an official timeout after that crazy jam we just saw.
Holy mackerel, really? Well, I'd like to remind everybody that the Portland Mercury is one of our proud sponsors. The food, the arts, entertainment, news, and the news you need. That's the Portland Mercury. Go, Megan, go.
That's mascot Megan down between turns 3 and 4, passing out some Rose City swag.
And on that note, I'd like to remind you that the Lloyd Athletic Club is the official fitness trainer of your Rose City Rollers. Ladies and gentlemen, we take safety seriously here at Rose City. That's why Nutcase Helmets is one of our proud sponsors. Nutcase, the most fun you've ever had in a helmet.
Wait, who are you guys cheering for? Who are you cheering for? I can't hear you.
I'm pretty sure they were cheering for Sock Dreams, unique, sexy, comfy socks for the roller girl and everyone. Check out their new RCR socks. That's Sock Dreams.
Head ref Oedipus Ref now over addressing the Skate Whisperer, coach of the Guns N' Rollers, explaining the situation. It looks like we may be starting this next jam with both jammers in the penalty box and 2 high rollers blockers in the penalty box, Magic.
That's not my favorite kind of derby, but I bet they know how to fix that. OHSU Sports Medicine, the official sports medicine providers for the Rose City Rollers.
Looks like Frankenherder headed to the penalty box for the Guns N' Rollers. And it appears as though she will be serving 2 minutes. However, don't take that as gospel. I do not have confirmation on that. It just appears that way.
And this jam is underway. The Untamed Shrew has been released from the box and is attacking the green line.
Layla Smackdown trying to hold her back. She's working with Texine out there. But Untamed Shrew finds a hole on the inside rail. She is your lead jammer. Layla Smackdown now headed to the penalty box, leaving Texine as the only blocker of record on the track for the High Rollers.
Guns N' Rollers waiting for their chance right now. The Untamed Shrew threw on the outside. Texine drops her to the outside and runs for it.
Wreck Deckard out of the penalty box trying to chase down Untamed Shrew. Untamed Shrew now going up against Texine.
Untamed Shrew breaks through past Texine for 5 points.
Minstrel Psycho out of the penalty box and quickly through the pack on her initial pass as Untamed Shrew calls off the jam.
At the same time, one of the most bizarre and really exciting jams I've ever watched.
Porque no?
Porque yes, 2 locations on the Burnside and the interstate. That's Porque no.
Sully Skull Kicker lined up on the jam line for the High Rollers opposite Super Six Pack. GNR with a blocker advantage 3-2.
GNR setting up shop in the front, trying to hang things up. They're there waiting for Sully Skull Kicker when she gets there. Super Six Pack through the inside. She's your lead jammer.
Sully Skull Kicker going up against that front wall. Unreal Hooligan drops her. But Unreal Hooligan picking up a major penalty for her trouble there.
Havana Good Time giving her some trouble up front, but she breaks through. Whoa.
Layla Smackdown being sent to the penalty box. Super Six Pack calls off the jam, but 4 points picked up by Sully Skull Kicker.
We'd like to thank Fat Lip Industries. Carve hard, ride fast, be free. Go to skatefatlip.com. That's Fat Lip Industries.
Guns and Rollers now at a disadvantage in the blocker department, down 3-2 as Scald Eagle takes to the jam line for the Guns and Rollers. Opposite Rick Deckard for the High Rollers.
Guns and Rollers. Sully. Scald Eagle breaks through like no one was there. She's your lead jammer.
Excellent defense by Squid Vicious in the back of the pack, knocking Rick Deckard to the outside, but Rick Deckard recovers and she is now through on her initial pass.
Guns and Rollers going all offense right now. Scald Eagle flies through and calls off that jam after picking up 4 points. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's something cool going on in Portland that you want to see, Mike Thrasher Presents is probably putting it on. Portland's leading events and concert promoter. That's Mike Thrasher Presents.
Super Six Pack on the jam line for the Guns and Rollers, opposite Minstrel Psycho for the High Rollers.
Super Six Pack.
Guns and Rollers with a 3-2 blocker advantage to start the jam.
Roller Eclipse, Juvie Hall, and Havana Good Time out there for the Guns and Rollers. Everybody taking their time to get things rolling. Super Six Pack giving it to Minstrel Psycho right away, playing a little bit of defense right on the outside line.
Minstrel Psycho being called for a cut major. She's going to head to the Pabst Blue Ribbon penalty box. That means Super Six Pack in a power jam for the Guns and Rollers. And she's through with lead jammer status for GNR.
Really amazing defensive play on her part right in turn one. Mike checks that stop to the motion of the High Rollers in its tracks and let her have that chance to become lead jammer.
Kick Cassidy in the back trying to slow down Super Six Pack. Now it's Layla Smackdown out in front, working with Skeeve Holt.
Super Six Pack taking a beating through that pack and getting recycled to the back. Full complement of High Rollers blockers on the track right now and a lot to work with.
Havana Good Time up trying to play some offense for her jammer Super Six Pack.
High Roller block a Solaris in that one and stopped Super Six Pack.
Six Pack did pick up 4 points in that jam for GNRs. They now close the High Rollers lead to 19 as we are nearing the halfway point of the second half, Magic.
Magic Pony's favorite, Vita Cafe, a super tasty vegan and vegetarian food for thought. That's the Vita Cafe. Doom. On the track all by herself, once again, the Scald Eagle.
Scald Eagle having to contend with all 4 High Rollers blockers out there on the track. GNR short 1 blocker.
You cannot stop the Scald Eagle. She is your lead jammer. Guns and Rollers closing the door on Penny Dreadful in the backfield right there, trying to cut her off and slow down the pack.
Guns and Rollers trying to cash in on this power jam situation right here. Minstrel Psycho out of the penalty box and knocking Scald Eagle to the outside of turn 3.
Scald Eagle up against that green wall, working her way through. Huge amount of action right there. Everybody hitting everybody. Scald Eagle down and calls it off.
She did pick up 4 points for her effort, though, and that closes the lead to 15.
We want to thank Joe's Burgers, 4 locations, Awesome Burgers, and the official feeder of the RCR Volunteers. That's Joe's Burgers.
Sully Skull Kicker jamming once again for the High Rollers. Opposite Frankenherder for the Guns and Rollers.
Frankenherder cuts through on the inside. She's up against that green wall, but
Sully Skull Kicker picking up lead jammer status for the High Rollers.
Frankenherder looking for some action in the backfield, trying to find a hole to break through.
Kick Cassidy being called for an elbow major for the High Rollers. She's headed to the Pabst Blue Ribbon penalty box.
Schoolgirl Crusher in an intensive scare, giving her a hard time up front. Sully Skull Kicker weaves on by. One more to pass.
Havana Good Time being sent to the penalty box for the Guns and Rollers. Blockers now at 3 each.
Everybody jockeying for position in the pack.
High Rollers cycling their blockers up front. Guns and Rollers building a wall in the back of the pack.
Sully Skull Kicker down on the inside, calling off that jam.
High Rollers extending their lead back to 19. Fans, we've got about 3 minutes left for alcohol sales. Make sure you get to the concession stand, pick yourself up a New Belgium Brew, a Fat Tire, a Ranger IPA. Scald Eagle returning to the jam line for the Guns and Rollers.
And that would be Honey Hellfire, Hellfire, Hellfire.
Blockers
Honey
at 3.
Hellfire around the outside, but
Scald Eagle picks up lead jammer status for the Guns and Rollers. An amazing foot race between those two jammers. High Rollers, blockers 3 to the front right now.
High Rollers on the run, way up front.
Kick Cassidy trying to hold back Scald Eagle in the back of the pack.
Scald Eagle jumps through and calls off that jam. 1 point for the Guns and Rollers. Give me one, give me one. How about PDX Pipeline? Your online source for music, arts, events, happenings.
The bar is closing.
Oh, that.
Yeah. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Minstrel Psycho jamming for the High Rollers. Super 6-pack with the cap for the Guns and Rollers.
Minstrel 6-pack up front, weaves by Juvie Hall, and she's your lead jammer. Super 6-pack with the self-assist off the shirt of somebody, breaks through.
Heidi Go Seek gave chase, but gave up once she was told she was 20 feet out of the pack.
One more point for the Guns and Rollers at the very end of that jam.
17 points separating the two teams as we are closing in on 10 minutes left in this bout, Magic.
Once again, a rematch between the Scald Eagle for Guns and Rollers
and Honey Hellfire for the High Rollers. High Rollers with a 1 blocker advantage is Squid Vicious in the penalty box for GNR.
Honey Hellfire through that green wall up front. A bit of a hang-up. Scald Eagle way out front.
And Scald Eagle picking up a back block major, going to send her to the penalty box.
Honey Hellfire looking for a chance to get back on the track. Coming at that black wall in front. All of her blockers leading for her. And she calls it off. We'd like to thank Oaks Amusement Park, the home of your Rose City Rollers. That's Oaks Amusement Park. Starts with a K, ends with an A. Selwood, sweetest watering hole and proud sponsor since 2007. That's K's Bar. On the line for the High Rollers, that would be once again Sully Skullkicker.
Sully going to start out this jam unopposed as Scald Eagle in the penalty box, serving out her penalty from the last jam.
Penny Dreadful hanging up Juvie Hall for a long time. Juvie Hall giving it to Sully Skullkicker way out front, but she still makes lead jammer.
Penny Dreadful being sent to the penalty box for the High Rollers. She picked up her 4th minor penalty. Blocking contingent now even at 3, but the High Rollers with the advantage as they are in a power jam, Magic.
Huge offensive hit from Intensive Scare there. Drops Roller Eclipse in turn 1. Gives Sully Skullkicker the chance to break through for another 5 points.
Amazing footwork there by Scald Eagle. She's through the pack on her initial pass.
Sully Skullkicker weaving through. Picking up 4 and calling off the jam. Hey, we'd like to thank Fire on the Mountain, Buffalo Wings to Die For, on Burnside and the Interstate. That's Fire on the Mountain.
High Rollers extending their lead to 26 as they send Wreck Deckard out to the jam line. And she's going to be opposed by Scald Eagle for the Guns N' Rollers. GNR with a 4-2 blocker advantage to start this jam, and that's why they wanted to get it started quickly.
Wreck Deckard pushing that black wall ahead of her, trying to force them to get out in front of her. Scald Eagle on the inside. She's your lead jammer.
Excellent defense out front by Untamed Shrew and Havana Good Time holding back Wreck Deckard.
Wreck Deckard weaving around, some amazing skating. She breaks through. Untamed Shrew's still after her, but she's on her scoring pass.
Wreck Deckard did pick up a minor track cut penalty drawn by Havana Good Time. Smart maneuver there. Scald Eagle attacking the pack on her scoring pass.
Scald Eagle through for 4 and calls off the jam. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's after party is at the Watershed, 5040 Southeast Milwaukee. Your ticket, your bracelet gets you in for free. That's the Heartless Heathers anti-Valentine's Day party for the after party.
Minstrel Psycho taking to the jam line for the High Rollers. 33 points to her credit this evening. Super 6-pack jamming for the Guns N' Rollers with 26 points of her own.
Both jammers on that inside line looking for a way to break through. Super 6-pack up front. She breaks out. She's the lead jammer.
Minstrel Psycho out of the pack on her initial pass as well. Both jammers free.
Super 6-pack calling that one off after picking 1 point.
Guns N' Rollers trying to claw their way back. 21 points separating these two teams.
And I'd like to remind you that the Lloyd Athletic Club is the official fitness trainer of the Rose City Rollers.
Magic Pony Power Hour, the Pabst Blue Ribbon penalty box is empty as we start this jam. That's amazing.
That's the way it ought to be.
Frankenherder on the jam line for the Guns N' Rollers.
Frankenherder!
Opposite Sully Skullkicker for the High Rollers.
Nobody in a real rush to get this jam started. Four more wheels to get by, and the jam is on. Frankenherder finding a path around the outside. Penny Dreadful and Sedusa Destroy to get by. No, that's Schoolgirl Crusher, who's on her way to the penalty box for a blocking out of bounds major.
Excellent defensive wall by the Guns N' Rollers up front. Frankenherder goes down in turn one.
Frankenherder on her way to the penalty box for a low block major.
Sully Skullkicker out of the pack, lead jammer for the High Rollers. Artemis Foulmouth on the receiving end of a huge hit by Penny Dreadful in the back of the pack.
Sully Skullkicker around the outside, Roller Eclipse after her, she shrugs her off. Havana Goodtime drops her in the straightaway and recycles her to the back of the pack.
Texie now being sent off the track. She's headed to the penalty box for the High Rollers. Guns N' Rollers blockers resetting themselves up in front of the pack.
Three wall up front, hanging up Sully Skullkicker. She's looking for that hole in the wall to break through right now. Roller Eclipse in front of her. Last one to get by. Compelled to let her go. She picks up 5 on that pass.
High Rollers pushing themselves to a 31-point lead as we've got a little less, just over 3 minutes left in this second half.
Guns N' Rollers starting this jam with their jammer in the penalty box.
Honey Hellfire on the jam line for the High Rollers.
Honey Hellfire looking for a hole in that black wall.
All the High Rollers blockers trying to play offense for their jammer. Scald Eagle out front.
Scald Eagle dropping her in the turn. Recycled to the back of the pack. That's Honey Hellfire.
Frankenherder out of the box and mixing it up in the back of the pack for the Guns N' Rollers. Picks up a minor track cut penalty.
Untamed Shrew not taking no for an answer on that one.
Amazing jammer battle up front between Frankenherder and Honey Hellfire.
Frankenherder putting up just a one-woman defense in the front.
Juvie Hall headed to the penalty box for the Guns N' Rollers.
Honey Hellfire re-engaging the pack, working with her sisters to find a way through.
Frankenherder clear of the pack on her initial pass.
Scald Eagle rolling in a little bit of defensive play. Raw footage and tech scene up front. Guns N' Rollers doing an excellent job keeping up the pace of this pack, making it difficult for the jammer to find a way through. Dirty Ann Rotten going after Honey Hellfire, and she calls it off.
Honey Hellfire, 2 points for her effort. Team timeout, Guns N' Rollers.
Team timeout, sponsored by The Brew.
Oh my goodness.
Black.
One 1-0.
It's, time should be 1-1-0. Time 1-1-0. Got it.
Watch me 1-1. Yes.
All right, fans, we've got 1 minute and 10 seconds left in this bout.
Leave it, no.
26 points.
Scald Eagle on the line for the Guns N' Rollers. Up against one of tonight's Iron Maidens of Derby, the Minstrel Psycho.
Well, the scores are wrong. So what am I
All blockers on the track. This here's real Derby. Scald Eagle weaving her way through that pack. She's up against the last two to get by.
And Scald Eagle is your lead jammer.
Heidi Go Seek picking up a major and on her way to the penalty box.
Guns and Rollers rolling 4 strong out front.
Everybody left from the High Rollers hanging back, setting up a wall to slow down the Scald Eagle. Penny Dreadful with a huge hit, doesn't stop her.
Juvie Hall delivering a huge hit to Minstrel Psycho. And Scald Eagle through the pack. 4-point pass.
Havana Good Time runs her down, but can't catch her.
Final score. You're going to basically talk to them and say at
Guns and Rollers looking to slow things down to get their jammer through the pack. Scald Eagle weaving through that pack, breaks through. She picks up 5 and calls it off.
Go.
Four. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up momentarily, the awarding of the MVPs for the game as voted on by the teams. Captains will come to meet Magic Pony at the Apex, like I told them just a little while ago.
Well, fans, it looks like that was our final. We're going to check in and make sure it's official. And that's official. High Rollers 108. Guns and Rollers 84.
Nice work, ladies.
Fans, make sure you stick around. Each team has MVP awards to award the other team. What an amazing bout!
I miss you when you play.
The High Rollers now in front of the Rose City Home League season, undefeated at 2-0. Guns and Rollers suffering their first loss of the season makes them 1-1. An amazing effort by both of these teams tonight.
Nice work, ladies.
Again, fans, make sure you stick around for the post-bout MVP awards. A huge thanks to all of our skating and non-skating officials who worked this evening's bout. I appreciate it immensely.
Mike Checks, Kick Cassidy, and Juvie Hall will be telling me the new MVPs momentarily.